All right, welcome back. We continue right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. It's the Bordas and Bordas Hotline. You see the number, Bob Pompeani, Ron Cook. Let's get our friend Brad in Duncansville. Hello, Brad.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Ron. Happy holidays to you.
You too.
I have a part question and a Steeler question for Ron. Is the Pirates really going to deal Garrett Cole, and can the Steelers still get home field advantage?
Sure,
Yes,
they can.
yes.
Very unlikely. I don't think New England would have to lose one of its last two games at home to either Buffalo or the Jets, and I don't see that happening. And that's the only way they can. If they win two, New England loses one. As for the Pirates, man, Bob, it's hard to get excited about them. Now, did I see the Cubs are going to sign Darvish?
Yeah.
They had Darvish. The Cardinals make moves, and the Pirates, they get a Rule 5 guy from Philadelphia.
That's it. And they're dangling Cole and McCutchen, and it's just a matter of time.
It's just hard to get excited about what they do.
Yeah, so I think, the honest appraisal of their situation is they're just not going to be competitors this year. They can.
And then Neil Huntington comes out the other day and says, well, we don't know if we're going to take a shot at it in 18 or 19. It made no sense. I mean, I guess if that's your strategy, I don't know that you want to tell your ticket buyers that ahead of time that, well, we really don't think we're going to be very good in 18. We're building for 19. Yeah. It's just hard to get excited about them. It really is.
Let me ask you two questions regarding football, and that would be number one. We've seen the Steelers play down to the competition and lose games maybe they should have. Do you see that as a possibility this week? They're 9.5-point favorites. Conversely, sure. Do you think Buffalo, because I don't think Buffalo has a chance, they're 11-point underdogs in New England. However, they're 8-6 and they're playing for a playoff situation. What do you see in those two?
Well, I like both of the favorites. I mean, I think the Steelers, they're either going to be in the tank after this New England game or they're going to come off really ticked off and play. And I think they're going to come out and play. And it looks to me like Houston just can't wait for the season to end. They got beat 45-7 last week. Now, I know the NFL, different game, different week. I expect New England to roll, and I expect the Steelers to roll.
Yeah, I would too. But you never know. That's
but
why
you ask, is it possible? Absolutely.
Possible. All right, let's go out to Big Will in Monroeville. Will, how are you?
Hey, happy holidays to you and your family.
You too.
Thank you very much. I wondered, this would take on how the newest Penguin, number 6, looks tonight. What did you guys think of his first game?
He showed me more moves than I thought. He's a big guy at 6'7", but Alexiak made a out-in the middle of the slot move that I thought.
Yeah, backhand, forehand, got a shot.
It's
had a big hit on the side, against the boards. They seem to like him. Obviously, they like him. Ian Cole not in there tonight. I'm still an Ian Cole guy,
so am I.
He took some penalties on this road trip. I know they didn't like that.
But okay. A lot of guys take penalties. Is he the most penalized guy on the team? I don't think he is.
I think Sid's, had a couple more.
But even Letang takes some, too. I mean, the bottom line is he's a shot blocker. He's a guy with a broken face will go down and sacrifice the face again every time. And how good was he in the last 2 playoff runs?
Really good.
Terrific.
But obviously the coaching staff doesn't feel that way.
Okay. All right, let's go to George in Pittsburgh. Hey, George, welcome to the Sports Call. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Why do you think the Steelers or other teams cannot double-team Gronkowski?
They tried on a couple of times.
Tried.
I'm surprised New England actually didn't go to him earlier. They didn't use him much in the first half when he needed him to take control of the game. And I believe that's what happened last year, too. He took over the game in the second half. They try to mix it up. Brady's smart enough to go elsewhere if he sees a weakness. But I'm with you. They got to do more to stop the guy somehow, some way.
Yeah, but I don't know what you do. Now, Hayden's presence there will help on one side, but you still, if you're going to go double over there, the one thing that will change when they play again, if they play again, Ron, is that guys like Chris Hogan will be back. And if you decide to do that, okay, fine. There are so many other guys.
He tore him up in that AFC Championship game, right?
Go every which other direction until you lay off of that, and then boom, one time you give him an opportunity, it's down the field. All right, let's go to Angelo again. Is this the same Angelo?
Yes. Yeah, I was referring to the very first quarter with Eli Rogers. I want to let you have a comment to make about that. About the very first, because I had a chance to review the game is what I wanted to tell you. And I watched it twice. And I also wanted to make a comment about the last catch in the fourth quarter that wasn't given credit for.
All right, well, make your comment, though. Go ahead. Don't set it up. We don't have time. Go.
The last touchdown of the game that he didn't get credit for, I would have given him a passing grade. I would have given him a 75 or 85% for that. And that's a passing grade, right?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about because I will say this: there was a grab of the shirt that was pretty obvious, and in that situation, Ron, they're never going to call penalty.
Ben, I talked to Ben after the game. He goes, he grabbed them, but he goes, I know I'm not going to get that call. No way.
No, but
Absolutely.
But he did do it. I mean, he grabbed it. And
I'm not a conspiracy guy, though. You know, if the league wants New England to win, why did they make Brady go through that whole rigmarole over nothing in that Deflategate, suspending him for? There was a black eye for everybody in the league. Why would they do that? I don't think they want necessarily to see New England win. Sometimes good teams get the break, so don't they?
We're going to take a break. 412-575-2600 right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.